Morning.
Hi, how you guys doing? Who wants to start?
Being fun maybe to go through this and figure out how to rebound for a loss. Do you want that? Is that a good emotion for you to sense these guys having fun with kind of
I
pressure?
prefer to go 16-0 in the playoffs and win the championship with 30-point games every time. The reality is this is what it's about. I was part of 5 championship teams as a player. It was never easy. Every team that I was on that won a title lost at least a home game during the playoffs. So it happens. There's a reason we pour champagne on each other's heads when we win. It's hard and it's a grind, and this is a great reminder of that.
What was the film session like today?
We had a good film session. We looked at a lot of things, good and bad. We made a fair share of mistakes that we can clean up. I thought they played awfully well in the second half. They deserve a lot of credit, and we know the areas where we can improve and where we're going to have to improve.
You turned them over a lot in the first half, and then they totally cut that out in the second half. How much of that was them, and how much of that was you?
It was a combination. We lost our activity level behind the ball. Obviously, Westbrook changed the game. He had such a good second half, and he made a couple long threes that really turned the tide. But that's going to happen. Our activity level defensively has to be maintained if we're going to force turnovers.
You talked last night about how everything can change in terms of lineups and combinations. Is it tougher to play your so-called small lineup against a team like this when they're that big?
We played it a lot last night. I think we're perfectly capable of playing that lineup, but we have to be aware of time and score and possible fatigue, and maybe pick our spots a little bit more. But we had some really good surges there, and then we had some moments where we didn't do as well. So we'll have some answers tomorrow, and we're going to look at the tape again as a staff and think more about combinations and that kind of stuff. But nothing out of the ordinary.
You kind of laid off of Robertson. You went small, almost specifically when Canner was in. Did you like this kind of stuff? Did you think those ideas worked generally in the game?
I think generally we did a lot of things that were fine. I just didn't think we ever really executed well to the point where we looked like ourselves. We had individual possessions that looked good, but we didn't really ever get to a stretch where we had 4, 5, 6 possessions in a row where the ball's moving and we were playing our style. And this is obviously a really good defensive team we're playing against. They've got length and athleticism, and in a lot of cases they force you into kind of ISO ball. I thought they did that to San Antonio quite a bit in the last series. So again, they deserve credit, but we've got to be able to counter that and play more our style.
Steve, where is it? Obviously you sag off him, but how do you do that without completely ignoring him to where he gets relaxed?
It's just awareness. It's defensive awareness. There's a big difference between playing off of a guy and ignoring a guy. You can't ignore anybody. Everybody in this league is a great basketball player, and I thought we lost Robertson a couple of times blatantly that were unnecessary.
Steve, where is Steph's conditioning level right now relative to where he was during the season?
I don't know. It's a good question. We played him, I think, 40 minutes last night, which is a lot. But it's this kind of game, this level of competition against this caliber of opponent. It's a lot to ask anybody. I thought there were a lot of exhausted players down the stretch. Last 5 minutes. I thought we were doing a great job on KD and Westbrook. They were missing a lot of shots. I know KD played 45 minutes, I think. Westbrook played over 40. So both sides are asking an awful lot of their stars, and it's something that you got to figure out game to game. Can you buy a little more rest here or there? And if we can, we will. But it's not easy out there.
What about Zealy? How healthy are they? Do you feel like they're
Yeah,
limited at all?
Bogut got knocked around last night in the second half. Looked like he was limping. Kept him out there another couple possessions, but he said he was doing okay. Ezeli is fine. Picked up a lot of fouls. That was, I mentioned this last night, way too much fouling in the third quarter. He got baited into a couple where he just needs to back off, but I think they should be healthy and ready to go tomorrow.
The NBA came out quickly and said that was a travel on Westbrook.
Yes. 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 That's awesome. No. I don't like the practice. I appreciate the NBA trying to be transparent, but it's unfair to the officials. I feel like it throws them under the bus. They have an impossible job. They really do. And there's going to be bad calls both ways every game. They're never going to be perfect. They're doing the best they can. I don't think there's any point personally in exposing bad calls. It doesn't serve a purpose to me.
Steve, you guys like to play fast. With this opponent, does that play into their strengths? And do you have to moderate your tempo?
Well, we don't want to slow the game down. We always want to play fast, but we've got to execute within that pace. Better screens, better cuts. Made a lot of silly turnovers in the second half last night, trying to pass it through traffic, trying to throw over the top of these guys. You have to understand when you play this team, they're long and athletic and active, so you got to be sharp with your execution. We're not going to slow the pace down to account for that, but we need to execute better to account for it.
Is it their length that allows them to kind of cut the floor in half?
Yeah, their length and their speed. A lot of long arm defenders, obviously, with Robertson and KD and Ibaka, and Russell had 7 steals last night playing the passing lanes, but a lot of them were our fault. Some of them were great plays by them, but a lot of them were poor decision making by us.
You can't go over the top against these guys, right? I mean, that's...
Yeah, that left-handed hook pass from Steph probably isn't going to work a whole lot in this series.
How would you describe the overall mood of the team today?
I think we're fine. We've been through this. We haven't lost a game one, but last year we lost 3 home games, I think, in the playoffs, maybe 2. Yeah. So twice we were forced to go on the road and down 2-1 on the road without home court. We've been through this. So we know where we are, we know what we have to do, and as I said, there's a reason that it's so exhilarating to win a title, because it's really, really hard.
With your experience over the years, you've been through so many of these, and I know you don't overreact to a loss. How do you keep them from reacting to overreaction that they're going to hear from everybody else?
They have the experience from last year, so they have the same experience that I do in terms of understanding the process, understanding how difficult it is, but knowing that this is not the NCAA tournament. We're not going home. We're coming back to play again tomorrow, and one team's got to beat the other 4 times, and the best team wins. So we got to try to be that best team.
Steve, did you hear the comments from Steven Adams after the game about Steph and Clay?
No. What did he say?
He said something about it being difficult to chase around those little monkeys. He quickly apologized, but there's a fair amount of stir on social media about it. Do you have any comment?
I didn't even know until just now. I didn't look at anything. I don't have a comment on that.
You said that you wanted to play fast. Is your team in the kind of condition that it was back in the finals when you opted for going small for essentially the whole game? Could you do that if you chose to do that?
Go small for the whole game?
Yeah.
I think that would be tough. We did it last year starting game 4 of the Cleveland series, so we did it for 3 games, but we still mixed in David Lee and Festus quite a bit. It's not an easy thing to do against anybody, to play huge minutes with a small lineup. But against these guys especially, with their length and their rebounding, it would be tough to do for the whole game. So we're always going to use that lineup, but we're going to use it as best we can at the times that are appropriate.
Do you think Andy's going to be more involved as the series goes
He
on?
could be,
I mean,
yeah.
especially with Bogues' physical condition.
Right, yeah. No, Andy has helped us in both series, Houston and Portland. There's a reason he's here. I mean, he's a guy who stays ready, knows how to play, and I would think he'll play a role in this series at some point. All right, thank you.
Thanks, Coach.